stuff.
Yo! What's going on, everybody? My name is Chris Tutela, alongside two of my good friends. One is my colleague and the co-host to the show,
Ruben Borges.
And we have back on the show for his second appearance on TTS Talk, my main man,
Josh Alfano.
I was the time you had that type of reaction.
I was waiting for you.
And welcome to episode number 33 of TTS Talk. So Josh, you were on the show back in, what month was that? December.
Yeah, for the holidays.
Yeah.
Wow.
You were actually our very first guest on the show. And you talked a lot about your knee injury. For those of you who didn't see that episode, I couldn't even tell you what episode that was. Do you know? Episode 7 of the show. So yeah, shit. So if you didn't see that, go back, watch episode 7. But Josh had a really devastating knee injury, dislocated his knee, tore his ACL,
PCL,
meniscus,
damaged the nerve,
and had severe nerve damage, which led to drop foot. So now we're here. And what month is this? June. Where are you at now?
Still the same thing. Therapy. It went from 5 days to 3. Now we're down to 2.
Okay.
So not much has changed, but things did change. So I'm still doing therapy. Still riding my bike.
Well, a lot has changed.
A lot has changed, yeah. But
recovery,
recovery. I'm further along in my recovery, but still the same protocol with everything.
What would you say is the biggest change that you got from December to now that you can do now with your knee and your leg?
The biggest thing, the main thing is I'm off crutches.
That's huge. That's a big one.
Yeah, that's probably the most obvious.
Yeah, right.
I'm out of that stupid surgical shoe. I'm in a regular sneaker. But as far as my knee, I can do everything. The knee is getting stronger.
Right.
Little by little, the leg's getting stronger. The mobility's getting better.
Okay, so the injury happened when? That was almost a year ago now, right?
Yeah, July 20th, almost a year.
July 20th.
Surgery was October.
Okay, so you had surgery in October. You were here in December. Now, from October to December, what were you doing physical therapy yet, or was it just very minimal stuff?
Therapy, 5 days a week.
Okay, you were doing 5 days a week.
5 days, and then it was down to 3. And then maybe 2-3 weeks ago, I knocked it down to 2 days.
Okay, so now from that point in December until now, what was what did therapy consist of for you? Just so people at home can have a general understanding of what you were doing to strictly rehab that knee.
A lot of manual work with my physical therapist, soft tissue massaging to get the swelling out, neuromuscular massaging to try to get this nerve to wake up.
Okay.
Stimming, icing, bending. And then my physical therapist is in a gym, so they allowed me to use all the equipment in there, so I would do a lot of machines and stuff to start strengthening the leg.
What kind of machines? Like leg extensions, leg curls,
leg curls, leg press, calf raise machines.
Okay.
All the basic stuff, because I still needed to sit down and be stationary while I did exercises at first.
Now, with that, has there been progression? Like you've been getting heavier with weights?
Yeah, little by little, I would notice the pin moving, a plate down, a plate down, a plate down.
Okay. Which is probably good for your psyche.
Which is good for your psyche. Now I'm back full swing training here, and it definitely feels good.
Yeah, you would say that was pretty cool. It's like week by week you're coming in, all right, lower down the pin, whether it be more range of motion or at least a heavier load you're putting on. So
it's a slow and long process, but the whole process I have seen steady progression. So we're moving in the right direction.
And what were some of the struggles that you faced in physical therapy and just
to get my mobility? The stretching was just very painful and brutal.
Okay.
Because like we talked about in the first episode, I had a frozen knee before surgery. So after surgery, I had zero mobility at all. So we had to fight for every inch. I think back even in December, the first episode, I couldn't even put my leg up like this.
Right.
I sat there with my leg out. To get the range of motion.
So when you say stretching, are you talking about just the flexion of the knee itself, or the stretch, what are you talking about? Flexion.
The flexion, and I had to get extension because I didn't even have full extension. My knee was kind of permanently bent, so we had to get extension and flexion.
Okay.
I had to get both.
Okay. So, and what was harder for you, getting that flexion?
The flexion, yeah.
Because they had to just keep increasing range of motion
little by little, yeah.
And so talk about that a little bit. Was that super painful?
Very painful, yeah.
Okay.
It was a slow process. You had to just chip away, little at a time. And it took a while.
As you kept getting range of motion, was it more painful, or it was all right, same pain, but just cool, now I got more range of motion?
Yeah, at first it was more pain, and then it kind of hit a point where it was the same pain, and I would just get further and further.
Okay.
And then most of the pain was in the front of the knee. Then we got past that, and then we were dealing with an impingement in the back of the knee.
Right.
There was a lot of scarring behind the knee. Now we're through that. Now it's just kind of tightness in like the joint capsule itself.
Okay.
But I have full range. Like I can bend it. When he bends it, it goes. Now just like the ankle tightness and the nerve is just playing
Gotcha.
some factors in the
So
mobility.
is that the main part of your physical therapy now? Is working on the ankle more so than it is the actual knee?
Both, but mainly a lot of the to get the drop foot hopefully to heal, the neuromuscular massaging and the stimming and trying to do everything possible to get this nerve to wake up and recover.
So let's talk about that drop foot for
Yeah.
a quick sec then. So like, how has that improved since
has
the last time
improved.
you were here? I know it's been a slow process
It's been
for you.
slow. So back in December, I was still in the surgical shoe with the original AFO brace to hold my foot up while I walked.
Okay.
Then I went and I had got a custom orthotic made that I would wear in a sneaker. And I wore that for a few months. And now probably for a good 2-3 months, I'm wearing nothing. I just wear a sneaker. I mean, my foot doesn't function completely, but about a month or two ago, I started to get very little bit of dorsiflexion and eversion out, which I had none on either.
Okay.
So that was good signs.
So we're making progress.
Yeah.
then,
We're making
slowly but
progress,
surely.
yeah, so-
And is the doctor saying that this is basically the pace that it takes for that nerve to rejuvenate, or is this?
So since the last episode, I've been to multiple doctors. So I went right after the last episode of TTS. I went to my surgeon again, just for a follow up. It wasn't much information. Then I went back to him in April, and then he seen the little bit of motion that I had. So he was like, "That's exactly what I wanted you to have when you came to this this appointment."
Okay.
And that's what I was hoping for. So he was happy. I was happy.
Great.
So he recommended that I go see a neurologist
Okay.
to really get insight on what the nerve is doing. So I went to him, I seen him, he did a physical exam, like, just to
Like an
see,
evaluation?
yeah, like an evaluation to see like the strength of your leg, like just real basic stuff. But he did all that, everything seemed to be good.
Okay.
So he did another EMG study on the nerve to see the conduction of what the nerve is doing.
Okay.
We didn't really get much, it was very baseline. The original one I had back in September, pre-surgery, I got no reaction at all.
Okay.
This one it measured a 0.4.
Okay.
So there's definitely some pretty
Some
good
activity,
damage.
yeah.
There's activity, but there's some pretty good damage in there.
What would they have liked to see?
Yeah, what's like the number?
I think a normal nerve, he said, is like a 5 or something like that. So it was pretty significantly low,
Okay.
but it was something.
Right.
So
Because a nerve does take a long time to
yeah,
rejuvenate.
it regenerates a millimeter
Yeah.
a day, which is an inch a month.
Right.
So he was hoping that the nerve was closer into the muscle to rejuvenate the muscle. So he recommended that I go and get another MRI and ultrasound, specially just to look at the nerve. No ligaments, no nothing.
Okay.
So I went the following week, I did that, so I got all my results, and then just 2 weeks ago he called me. And it's a little more complicated than what we hoped for. There is some damage in there. So the way that he explained it to me was picture like a major earthquake, and then the railroads and the tunnels underneath are all shifted.
Mm-hmm.
So there's not a perftly clear path for the signals to travel, which makes sense.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it doesn't make sense because I had no motion at all. Now I have a little motion. So there are signals going from my brain
It's
through
just
my
not
body to
perfectly
my
clear,
foot.
which
Yeah.
is maybe why it's taking a little bit longer.
Right. So
Okay.
he recommended that I go see a neurosurgeon.
Right.
So I did that. We went last week, and he liked that I did have some motion. If I was a candidate for nerve transfer, which they do,
Okay.
you would typically do within the first 3 to 6 months of your injury. Obviously, I'm past that window.
Okay.
But he doesn't recommend that I do it, and he would just like me to just let time go by and see what the body does itself.
Okay.
If I was a candidate to do it, the success rate is only 20%, he said. So no matter what, I said, well, I don't want that option anyway. I'd rather see what my body does itself. If it heals, great. If it doesn't, I still think that's better than 20%. I mean,
Yeah.
those odds are not good at all.
Yeah. Right.
So he said, let some more time go by, follow up with him if I want, and if I do have to do anything, what they would probably do is a tendon transfer.
Okay.
So they take a tendon from the back of your leg that does a little bit of the sideways motion, which I have, and that allows you to get the little bit of dorsiflexion that you need.
Does he give you the full range or just will improve it a little bit more?
Full, he said, same thing, he can't answer that.
Okay.
With the nerve.
It's
It
just a
could, it could
chance.
not.
Right.
It'll definitely give you enough where your
Right.
foot will clear the floor, so you don't have to wear a brace, or you don't have to walk with a little bit of a limp, but as far as the nerve healing 100%, they can't answer that.
And how
Time
long
will
before
tell.
you make that call, whether you're going to do that or not? Like, what does he say? Does he want you to wait another year before you decide to do a surgery like that? Or
He said he recommends give it another 2-3 months, see what happens. But then that brings me to the end of September, October, and as you know, I'm getting married in November. So then it's too soon to do any kind of surgery because I can't risk any complications. So I figured I'll give it to November to my wedding. That'll be another 5, almost 6 months.
Right.
If
I have a better idea.
I'll have a better idea. If from now till then I keep making progress, then I'll just let time keep going because I'd rather my body heal itself than have to do surgery. I'd rather stay away from surgery.
If you make progress and you don't have to do surgery,
if another 6 months go by and the foot doesn't make any more progress and it is what it is, then I guess I have to look into the tendon transfer and see what that entails.
Okay.
The body can do amazing things, Josh. Especially knowing you, I know you treat your body well. You know, you eat the right
doing
things.
Everything possible.
Yeah, and just
so for now,
you keep doing that. You know, until one day just kind of.
Still doing therapy. I'm still doing my bike at home. I'm back here training, diet, and doing everything possible.
Let's talk about that for a sec. So your upper body, you maintained pretty much all your muscle mass, right, on the upper body. Because that's for us meatheads. At first, you get injured.
Like hell yeah.
First thing that pops in your mind is fuck. I'm going to lose all this muscle, and I've been there with 2 broken hands, right? A hand surgery.
I probably said before, I stepped on the scale one day and it read 167, and now it's pretty crushing.
Yeah. So
your clothes are really loose. I'm like, this is terrible.
Yeah, it's a horrible.
Mediums are largest now.
At least it was winter time.
Swimming in a medium, you're like, oh, no.
At least it was winter. I was able to always keep a sweatshirt on and stuff like that.
But you maintained a decent amount of your upper body size, right? So talk about that, like throughout this, before we get into your lower body training, upper body wise, you were training basically since you got hurt. Like you didn't really take much time off.
I didn't take much time off. Yeah, a couple weeks, like in the first when the injury first happened, and then when surgery.
And just so you guys know, like if you didn't see the first episode 7. Josh was barely able to get around. Like, he was
canny ass. I remember
crutches completely. I couldn't put any weight or nothing.
Doing every day.
He called.
We do every day, right?
He called Ruben to go over and wipe his ass one day. So Ruben had to go on.
It was a hard time.
Ruben wore a shower cap and goggles,
hazmat suit.
All right, let's do this.
So you weren't able to really get around, but you still made it to the gym to do training. So there was it was like a lot of machine work, right? Because we were worried about your balance. Like you couldn't train here at TTS during that time because
so I was at Retro for a few months and sitting down at all machine work, cable work. But like we said, you were able to maintain a good pump and get a pretty good workout, even on crutches and non-weight bearing.
And you would let us know that. I know there were times when you would tell you, I felt good today. I felt a little stronger or whatever, and kept just slowly building up.
And now I'm back here full swing and. It's much different. It feels great.
Yeah, that's awesome. But at that time, though, your leg training was only like physical therapy stuff.
It was only physical
leg extension,
therapy.
Leg curls, maybe.
Yeah, real minimal stuff. Yeah.
Got it.
Now I can do anything.
Yeah.
The leg is still very weak and stuff, but I can do everything.
Right. So let's talk about that now. Like so now, months later, you're back here. You're training. You're limited, but there's a lot that you can do. So upper body wise, I mean, you're basically good for anything. And this is, guys, just so you know too, like our communication with Josh is always like, what does your doctor want you doing? What does he not want you doing? We would never have Josh just do something because we were like, you're ready for it, right? Because there's still some damage going on. There's some with the drop foot that he's got the nerve damage. There's certain things he can't do as far as moving his foot, like a reverse lunge. He was saying he's like dragging his foot a little bit.
Reverse lunge is hard because the ankle is very weak. So in the bottom position, there's no strength to push out.
Right.
But we did modifications. I held onto a bar when the bad leg is back.
Right.
And when I first came back, a lot of the guys were doing the safety bar squat. So instead of doing that, I was doing goblet squats, and you guys have me put the plates under my heels to, hit the quad a little bit. So there's been a lot of modifications, and it's still good.
Right, that's great.
It's been a hell of a workout because I know I got the goblet squat. You're like, holy smokes, man! I mean, it was.
I haven't done a squat pattern like that in almost a year since I got hurt.
Right.
So I was really focusing on the tension and controlling down. You want to make sure the knees were in.
That was pretty exhausting.
That was a lot of sweat.
Right. And your doctor basically said like you're good to go as far as all movement patterns.
If it hurts, don't do it. If it doesn't hurt, you're fine.
Right. Right. So just so you guys know, like that relationship, like if you're coming off of an injury and you're working with a trainer or a coach out there, you want someone who's going to be communicating with, if not with the doctor directly, to really get, and you have to be honest with your trainers and coaches.
You don't want to just guess and then you're doing more damage than good.
Right.
Even though you think you're recovering, you're not.
If your ego got in the way,
Right.
and you were just like, no, I can do it, my doctor said it's fine, you're lying, and then we made you do something that even if we questioned it, but you wanted to do it, and it wouldn't be good for you, it wouldn't be good for us, it wouldn't be good for anybody.
Or even if I didn't check with my doctor and I'm like, oh, I can probably do that, and then I go for my follow-up and my surgeon's like, dude, what the hell are you doing?
Right. Right.
You know, you're just taking steps backwards.
And that's one thing you've done really well with, like, you communicate with us extremely well, and you leave that ego at the door.
Yeah.
You're like,
If anything, I think a lot of the days you're more nervous than I am.
I am,
You're like, what are you
absolutely.
doing? I'm like, no, I'm fine. I only went up 5 pounds. You know, there's no pain. I'm good.
Right.
And
you're like, all right.
I'm like, whoa, what the hell is that? He goes, no.
I'm like, no, I'm
good.
okay. I'm okay.
I'm like, all right, well, let's.
But the
stay
ego,
clear of
you know,
that.
the ego could get in the way. But I knew to check it at the door.
I think we all have been there where
It's still gonna
certain
be,
days
you know,
just want to be like, you know what?
Yeah.
You know, something comes over you and you're like, I can do this. You know, because now, sometimes I don't know if it's like an ego thing, but of like, you know, no, I can overcome this. This is another obstacle to overcome. And it's finding that.
That's ego.
It's ego.
But that you kind of make that as an excuse, like, you know,
Yeah,
you know, I know I can do this. I can bash through this door, but it's like, no. And that's when it's good having either training partners or coaches that, you know, hey, nah, you're fine, man. That, you know, stay there. Obviously, it just makes more sense to do it this way. And,
Once you accept the process of knowing, like, okay, I know what I was, I know what I'm going to be. It's going to take a long road to get there, and just accept the journey. And once I did that, everything was just so much smoother. And every workout, I'm like, that's one workout closer. That's one step closer to the leg. You know, being back to as close to 100% as I can get it. And I've been liking the journey. The frustrating part, like you talk about, is the nerve damage and the drop foot. But
And
as far as the exercising with the leg for the knee, like I like the journey. It's good.
And that's what I want to talk about, because I know when you came back, it's been great. It's been awesome. We had some big highs, but there has been, I remember there was one day it kind of got you, and then I got sensed it. I was like, man, Josh is not like here today.
Yeah.
And it was just a frustration. It was like one day was just worse than another. You just kind of upset that it was feeling that way. But you finished the whole workout, and I remember you were done. And I just wanted to say, hey, you're right. Yeah, fine. And that's the whole thing. You're going to have days like that. And this is for anyone coming from injury. Don't let that one day, it's a bad day, maybe your mind just kind of gets you and just stop coming. No, he came the next day. He was fine. He was never like that ever again. But that happens. That comes a day, but he showed up.
Yeah. And that was the tough day of the program. And then even like the next week, that same day of the program, it was better.
Yeah.
It was just one of those days where it was just a bad day.
And that was the whole thing. Yeah, the next week, it was even a harder day. You way different personality. You were like out there, right? But that's the whole thing. You have your day, just come back, show up. This is a process, like you're saying. Enjoy this journey.
You gotta enjoy the process.
Yeah.
That's great, man. So now, how have the legs responded now since you've been back here? Like, do you feel like you're putting a little bit more muscle on? Do you feel like you're gaining some strength back? Like, what's your progress been like since you've been back here now and doing this stuff in addition to the physical therapy?
Right. The strength I noticed the most. The strength is improving little by little. You know, day by day, week by week. The atrophy, that is what really has been a mental thing to get over, because I'm like, all right, once I'm off crutches, I'm going to start training. I'm like, probably 2-3 months, my leg will look back to normal. Man, was I wrong.
But the problem is the nerve, probably.
The nerve damage. The quad is actually coming back pretty good.
Okay.
That I see getting better. Because of the nerve damage, the lower leg, the calf, is what still is atrophy really bad. It is getting better, but that's going to
get activation now in the quad and everything else, right? Yeah.
That's going to take a long time, and if the nerve doesn't heal, that's only going to get so good. There will be limitations as far as how much muscle comes back, because the nerve isn't innervating the muscle.
Of course, right.
So. Well, I mean, your push-up game was great. We did have an epic time here, and you broke up our TTS push-up record, which for 77 straight push-ups.
That felt
and
good.
That was a real epic time, and it was kind of like a Josh's coming back party. The whole crowd went nuts. It was really awesome.
That felt
good. There is strength gains happening, man, and sometimes it's kind of. Let's focus on those ones that we're doing really well, and that's going to follow up, right?
Yeah. Are the legs completely asymmetrical? Is one just way more? Is the bad leg just completely, like, as far as the quad goes, the upper body leg?
It's still a big difference.
Okay.
But it's improving, but it's still a big difference. Yeah.
Okay. Just so people know, Josh had really gigantic quads too. I mean,
that's probably like my best body part now.
It's one of his best features, so that's what.
One good leg and one stick leg.
It's still solid, but it's like compared to what it was. Yeah, I get you.
Right. So now, as far as upper body goes, like we said, you're pretty clear. Ruben said you're smashing push-up records and stuff like that. Like, what's that been like for your psyche to come in here and still be able to train and get some weight on the bar in that regard? Of course, safely, and we want to be sure that you don't put that knee in any bad positions for any upper body movements either. But with that said, how does that help your mindset?
That was huge for my mental thing. I think it was Friday or Saturday, one of the days last week after the program, and we had a pretty big crowd, and a lot of the upper body exercises, I was the strongest in all of them, and I text Ruben after, I'm like, you know what, this day's been waiting to come, and that felt good. I'm like, all right, it's not totally back, but it's almost there. That really felt good. I needed that.
Right.
And that was like a huge breath of fresh air. Like,
compared to everyone was like, oh, man, nice, you know, with good form, with everything, and you were just right up there with everyone, and much more than them. And I know that was like a big day for you.
Yeah,
kind of like,
that was a big day.
Back, you know?
A few months ago, stuff that you used to do for a warm up, that was like my working sets, and it was tiring. I'm like, fuck.
Right.
But,
yeah, it's important to have those wins. You know, like there's a lot of people, you know, whether you're a type A person that likes to train or if you're an athlete who suffers an injury, I think it's important to be able to, if you're capable of staying active and doing what you're doing, not only is it going to help the healing process, but it's also going to help your mental state and your mindset and that, because it's going to give you those small wins and victories. So that's why it's so great to see you back here and see that because you've been pretty positive throughout this whole thing. I know there were some times when you and I would have a conversation, you were bummed out, but
there's
that's part of the process.
It's part of the process. There's definitely some low days, and like we said in the last episode of TTS, anybody that goes through, I mean, any kind of devastating injury or any injury for the matter, if you say like, oh yeah, there's no low days, there's nothing, you're not being true to yourself. You're lying to yourself, because it is, and I believe it's part of the process of healing.
Sure.
You need those good days and those bad days, and then that gets you to where you need to go. Yeah.
Right. No, it's awesome, man. And now you got a new hobby, right? You bought a new road bike.
Yeah, I just bought a road bike, so I'm throwing that into the arsenal to help with recovery and do some road biking because I can't run or nothing. So.
Hopping on that with some of the TTS savages,
members,
Dale and Ferrone.
Yeah, these guys go on like 40-mile bike rides.
Dale apparently does like bike flips and everything like that.
Yeah, Dale's not playing around, man. Dale's another TTS alumni. TTS.
Yes, he was here as well too.
Alumni. Yeah.
Still, people ask me about his age. I don't believe it.
Which crazy. That's what I was battling for the push-ups with.
Yeah.
And as good as I felt, I'm like, wait, this guy's got 20 years on me, and I'm trying to beat his record.
So we need your vampire blood, bro. We need that vampire blood.
We gotta get like Dale on bar stools or something. People need to know about this.
We gotta sell his blood. Is what we gotta do.
But whatever you're doing that we don't know
it's
about,
like you don't need TRT. You don't need human growth hormone. You need
Dale's blood.
Yeah.
Because he's not your average 50-something-year-old man.
57.
57.
Or 58 now, 57 or 58.
Talk about this, right? That camaraderie too with the guys. How much have you missed that? Like, I know a lot of guys
really
they came back and everyone's like, oh, this is Josh. Josh is back. Even the guys who haven't been here, who haven't seen you, and now you came back. They always see your records and they're like, oh, heard about this guy. There he is.
Yeah, because I got hurt in July, so by the time I came back, it was, I think, the end of April. So majority of the clientele now, I didn't even know. There was like a handful of people I knew, so everyone was always wondering, who's this Josh guy? Who's this Josh guy? But it definitely felt good to walk in the door and everyone, everyone welcomed me back with open arms. That was great. Like we always talk about, this is more than a gym. This is, like a family, and
that's
it truly felt good to come back.
Yeah, also
and just being at retro by yourself with your headphones on. And
Well, talk about that for a second, because I think that's something where a lot of people will say like, oh, well, I just want to come here for a month and then I'm just going to train on my own and do it on my own. Injury or not, put the injury aside for a sec. Like, what is that like? Like training here versus training on your own with a pair of headphones on? Like, talk to me about the energy, the motivational type of stuff. I mean, whatever you want to talk about, but just tell me some of the biggest differences.
Just a group of guys pushing each other and holding each other accountable. If you're at a public gym on your own with just your headphones on, if you don't want to do that last rep or that last set or that last exercise or whatever it may be, the cardio, you know what, I'm not going to do it today. When you're here, you have to do it, because if not, everyone's going to be like, no, you got to do it.
Wait, it's your third set.
It's your third set. No, you got to do it. We did it. You got to do it.
Right.
So it definitely holds you accountable, and it pushes everybody more. And even a lot of the members here, you hear them say, I would never train this way if I was training by myself.
Right. And so the accountability
is huge.
Right. And also, like, for our well-being and mindset, like, human connection is something that's so important, and it's really almost non-existent these days. I don't say non-existent, but we spend so much time on our cell phones, looking at social media, reading emails, reading text messages, and we're trapped in this digital world. And these types of conversations are lacking more and more. So when you're in an environment like this, listen, we have a no cell phone policy in here in regards to, like, don't be looking at your phone, but we don't even have to really enforce that anymore, because when you're in here, you're zoned in. You're focused on what needs to be done. You're not thinking about your cell phone or the texts coming in or the emails, because this is your 1 hour or 45 minutes to come in here and just train and just focus on you and the people that are around you, and together you work to achieve a common goal. And for your mind, that is such a tremendous impact and benefit, because you have communication, you have, just somebody telling you good job, you're rooting somebody else on, or whatever the case may be. But that is so important.
And that's what I was just going to say. When you go to like public gyms, how many people do you see on the machine? They're in between sets. They're on Instagram or whatever they're doing on their phone. Here, there's no phones in here. Everyone's working out. Everyone's training, pushing each other. That alone is, the atmosphere is so much better.
Right. To go back what Coach said, sometimes, hearing a good job, or like, hey, dude, that was awesome, nice job.
Just a pound or a tap, hey,
that goes a long way. There's some guys, I think some guys in the gym that go the whole day without not hearing that.
Right.
There's no positive affirmation to them. So when they come here, this is where that was good, man. That was tough. Good job.
Right.
That goes a long way.
Even if you're doing an exercise wrong or your form is wrong and you're on your own, you may not know it, but in here someone may, or a coach or another member may correct you, and they appreciate that.
Right. So, well, dude, listen, man, this is, it's really great to see you back here, of course, and I'm so happy to see that the knee has gotten so much better, and you made so much progress with that. The ankle, hopefully we get there little by little. We keep chipping away, so fingers are crossed for you.
Fingers are crossed. Staying the course, working hard, keeping faith, and whatever's going to be is going to be. But I'm not accepting no yet.
No, you're not. Look how far you've come already.
I'm going to do everything possible. I'm going to do everything possible to heal, and when that day comes that I do maybe have to accept, whatever it may be, we'll cross that bridge when we get there. But for now, I'm not punting. I'm not accepting no.
Right. It could be worse, right? It could always be.
I have my leg, right? I came close to that.
That injury was so devastating. Like, that could have been, if that would have severed an artery, you could have lost your leg.
Lost my leg.
So think about it where you're at right now. If you're really looking at, like, hey, where I was, what happened, what could have happened,
it could
where
be so
you're at
much
now.
worse. I mean, even if I don't heal or get any better, there's nothing that I cannot do besides maybe like a split squat. That's really the only thing, and run.
Right.
But besides that, I mean, I can walk, I can bike, I can train.
Right.
So
There's
I can do
so
everyday
much you can
life.
do.
Right. So we're just going to make the best of it and just keep working hard and pushing forward.
There's always something.
Focus on what you can do.
What I can do and not what you can't do. Exactly.
Yeah, that's awesome.
There's more that I can do than what I can't do.
So much more,
Josh, you got the right mindset, dude. So
you guys have been a tremendous help through all this. You guys,
of course, man.
TTS in general.
Push-ups, brother. I mean, it's so crazy.
Going for more next time.
Let's do it.
It's awesome, man.
Mondo's the mark.
But dude, super proud of you, and like your mindset. Like, this is what the reason we have you on the show today is to not only tell your story, but for people at home going through something, like, having the right mindset is going to be what gets you through it, and also just to keep growing, right? Like, you've grown from this situation, and you wouldn't have been able to without the right mindset, without that right headspace.
Things do get better. They do. Because there were days when I would sit on my couch and I did not ever really think that my leg was ever going to work again.
Right.
Or that I would walk again.
Like,
and I truly believe that. I'm like, I don't know how this is ever going to happen, but it does. You keep working hard and you do the right things, and the body does amazing things. It really does.
Yeah,
it really does.
The body is a fascinating, amazing thing that is so complex, and we take it for granted
right now. I mean, I mean, it's not 100% completed, so.
But dude, good luck on the rest of the way. It was great talking to you again.
Pleasure being back.
Yeah, man, good to see you back here. So guys, if you have any questions or anything for me at all that you want me to help you with, you can reach out to me on Instagram. Shoot me a DM. I'm at Chris_Tutela, Tutela. Coach, where can these guys find you?
Guys, you can find me on Instagram as well, at _Ruben, RUBEN, _Borges, BORGES. Ask away, anything.
And Josh, if anybody is going through something at home, they want to reach out to you, where can they find you?
Instagram, I'm at JBet86. Facebook, just at Josh Alfano, same thing. Ask me any questions, anything, and I'll be happy to answer anything.
All right, guys, thanks for tuning in. We will see you next week on episode 34 of TTS Talk. We will catch you guys later.
See you.
Peace.